Hannah, and welcome to the first official video of Self-Publish with me, which is getting inspiration and idea generating. So I'm going to break this into two separate parts just because I have already kind of created my idea. There's not a way for me to really film that, honestly. So the first half of the video will be talking about how you can generate ideas for a book, and then the second half will be talking about the inspirations for me to write this story. So there are three ways that I want to talk about generating ideas. The first is to just sit down and write a bunch of one-sentence ideas, no matter how crappy they sound. A lot of times this just gets your mind going, kind of starts thinking of some things. And honestly, your crappy ideas are sometimes actually your best ideas, and sometimes your best ideas are your worst ideas. I know, I think about the first novel that I wrote and completed, and the premise of it was a good idea, but as it actually got put on paper, I was really struggling with actually getting it on paper and making it sound right. Whereas another story I had written, the idea was just kind of silly and out there, but it's still one of my favorite pieces to date, having written that short story. So yeah, no, just sit down and just start writing all your ideas down, no matter how crappy they are. Sometimes one will just speak out to you and be like, yes, this is the one you will need to work on right now. My second suggestion is to be active in art. And this isn't just reading books. This is reading books. This is going to art museums. This is going and watching plays and movies and listening to music, just participating in art as much as you can, because artists get inspired from each other. We all kind of steal little bits here and there, and so stay active in art. It is really a good source of inspiration. There's actually a short story that I wrote based entirely off of a picture I found on Pinterest, and it's one of my favorite stories to date. Hopefully I'll be able to release that short story soon. But yeah, art can be a huge inspiration, so stay active in the arts. And then my third suggestion is keep tab on just interesting events and facts and just stuff going around your world. One of my favorite stories is about Judy Blume, who shares how she always kept kind of like a little notebook with her, and one time she was at a diner with her family and there was a family arguing behind her, and she was writing down like word for word what was happening, and she ended up being able to use that, modifying it just a tiny bit, I think, but she actually used that conversation in one of the books that she wrote. So yeah, just pay attention to those little things, because they really can take your story to the next step and add a sense of reality, even if you're writing books for escapism, because you do need a little bit of that reality to escape. It's kind of a weird balance. Yeah, so those are three ways that you can start generating some ideas. Now, so I'm going to explain the creative process of creating my project, which is called Barking Up the Wrong Tree. I'm so excited for this. This is going to be a fun, unique challenge. So for me, retellings are my jam. Like, that's what I live for. That's what I mostly want to write. And usually when I'm trying to create an idea, I think more of the stories that I'd like to retell and think about how I want to do it differently. But this time it was a little backwards. So I ran across a post, like a Pinterest post of a Tumblr screenshot that talked about kind of flipping the werewolf vampire stereotypes. And I really loved the idea of having this really rich werewolf clan, and just kind of their crazy antics, and this poor little like college vampire who ends up getting an internship helping this family manage their money or whatever, and just the shenanigans that happen. And I really loved that idea. So I just kind of kept it tucked in the back of my head. Did write it down in my computer as well. I have a spreadsheet that has a bunch of my ideas on it. But I didn't know what I wanted to do a retelling of until recently, when this idea started really coming to the forefront of my mind a lot and saying, okay, no, I need to be written now. So I tried to kind of browse through just some fairy tales, but I didn't feel like any of the fairy tales were really fitting what I wanted. And I really love Shakespeare's plays. I mean, who doesn't? Let's be honest. And so I thought, let's take this opportunity to maybe do a Shakespeare play. So I started going through Shakespeare plays, and one of my favorites is Much Ado About Nothing. So I went and kind of just reread the plot a little bit, and I knew that was the one. Mostly because of the character Hero in Much Ado About Nothing. One of the ideas that I had for this werewolf vampire story is that I wanted to include Irish werewolf lore as well as other traditional werewolf lore. And that Irish werewolves were kind of like a recessive gene. Which, if you don't know, so Irish werewolves are believed to help humans, help guide humans through forests if they're lost or whatever. So they're a little bit more helpful than like the bloodthirsty regular werewolves. And I was kind of rereading the part about when Hero is accused of not being virtuous, and her and Claudio's wedding is called off as a result. And that's when my mind kind of just like clicked and was like, oh, my recessive Irish werewolf gene idea would work perfectly in this scene. Like, this is just a match made in heaven, and I cannot deny it. So I've kind of, that's what I'm running with. That's basically what I got, and how I'm summarizing my book right now, because literally this is all I have. I don't even have like characters' names. I have some general ideas of what they might look like, or at least a few of them look like. I don't know how all of them look like yet. But Barking Up the Wrong Tree is Much Ado About Nothing meets Crazy Rich Asians in an urban fantasy with vampires and werewolves. So that is kind of my one sentence summary. It sounds super crazy, but I think this will be so much fun. This is going to be, again, a challenge. I typically write middle grade and YA, and this is going to be more of an adult comedy, and I don't write strictly comedy. But I think with having both Much Ado About Nothing and Crazy Rich Asians, where they're both very funny books, but they also have these very real, like, poignant human moments. I think if I can kind of balance those two out, it won't feel like overwhelming of like, I have to write like a slapstick joke book. But yeah, I'm really excited to take on this challenge. And I can't wait to hear what ideas you guys have. Make sure to drop a comment down below about what you like about the idea. If you have ideas that you're kind of struggling with, maybe some of us can kind of help you figure them out. And then don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification bell so that you can follow this journey. Just a quick disclaimer, which I forgot to mention in the introduction video. I am not an expert in self-publishing. I have only self-published one book, and I did that in a matter of 3 months. So part of this is just documenting me and my learning experience so that you can learn from it. You can take what I did good out of it, and you can learn from my mistakes. So, yeah. So the next step of this self-publishing process is obviously, because, again, I do retellings, I do need to study my original source material. So I've chosen actually 3 books to kind of do this from. So I've chosen, obviously, Much Ado About Nothing and Crazy Rich Asians that I need to both read. And I'm hoping that by reading these 2 and comparing them side by side, I can notice maybe specific pitch points that happen in both of them to help me structure my story and see how they mix humor with real life dilemmas. So there's those two. The other one I'm going to be doing is reading a book called Ophelia. It's a YA retelling of Hamlet. And I really like it because it is the story of Hamlet told specifically by Ophelia. And as I want to write Barking Up the Wrong Tree from the vampire's perspective, I really want to make sure, I want to see how she rewrote that story from only one perspective. So hopefully that will give me ideas of how to write my retelling from one perspective. And yeah, that's it. I'll probably post one video for each of the 3 books. So look forward to those and be able to see you guys soon, okay? Thanks for watching. Bye!
One, two, three.